Hi, I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. I'm called the Big Game Hunter because I've been hunting down leaders and staff for organizations for more than 40 years. Let's talk today about preparing for an interview. And I'm going to start by saying most of you do next to nothing to prepare. You know the name of the company, you know where you're going, you have about 3 words of information about the job. You walk in the door completely unprepared to answer basic questions. Let's not kid ourselves. This is what 95% of all job hunters do when they go to interview. In other words, you act like an amateur. Let me give you a comparison. Pro football teams, baseball teams, soccer teams. We call it soccer in the U.S. and the rest of the world will call it football. Basketball teams. Do you think these teams walk out on the court and just decide to run a bunch of plays that they've never practiced before? Tennis. Do you think a professional tennis player gets on the court not having spent tens of thousands of hours on a tennis court practicing every element of their game? How many backhands have they hit in their life just in practice? How many overheads? How many serves have they practiced to get on the court for this one moment? And you go to a job interview where your career is on the line and you do nothing. It's ridiculous. So understand, 60% of getting a job is already accomplished before you walk in the door. Each of you believes that you have something that the other one wants. 20% is involved with convincing one another that it's true, and 20% is purely subjective. And most of you fail that part of it because you're not prepared. What do you prepare with? Well, number one is you rehearse answers to basic questions. You know they're going to ask you, tell me about yourself and what you've been doing. Why don't you have a canned speech that doesn't sound canned available to answer that question? Really. They're going to talk with you about your role, responsibilities, accomplishments. How much you've helped an organization make in the way of income or save in the way of income. Why don't you prepare with an answer like that? They're going to ask you, where are you going to see yourself 5 years from now? Why don't you have an answer for that? You know all the basic questions, and if you don't, they're all over the web. I think I even have this in one of my ebooks, or actually in 2 or 3 of them, as a matter of fact. I go through some of the basic questions firms will ask on interviews. But get on the web and go looking. And start practicing your answers. Don't just simply know the question that they're going to ask. Practice the answer. A basketball team, when they step out on the court, they are so fluid. They know exactly what they're going to do if this player is defended against in a particular way. Same thing with a running back in football. They know, and the linemen know exactly how to respond if a defensive player moves in a particular way that they didn't anticipate. The running back is going to compensate in a particular manner. Everything is known in advance and practiced just in case. That's what makes them a professional. You think of yourself as a professional in your career, it's time to act like a professional. So I started talking about some of the canned questions that you're going to be asked. Well, why don't you do some research into the firm, where they are in their field, read the news stories about them, where are they in their industry, what are they doing professionally. You're going to be meeting a number of people on the interviews. Why don't you look at their LinkedIn profile, see where they've come from, do a Google search about them, see if they've been published or written about. All sorts of stuff. Learn about the firm's competitors, how you might be able to help. There are questions that some employers are going to ask you, like, what makes you the best person for this job? And, many of you are going to answer that question where you're going to be sounding like, a gorilla touting how wonderful you are. I'm the best individual. I can do this. I can do that. It sounds like you're beating yourself on the chest like a gorilla does. And the fact of the matter is, you need to have answers rehearsed in advance so that you can answer stuff like this. Now, I've got some of the questions already done on my website in the Tough Interview Questions series. I'm going to have a lot more over the next few months to help you prepare for it. But I hope you found today's video helpful. I hope I've given you some motivation to do some practice before you interview and to do some research and homework before you walk in the door. and don't make the mistake of being an amateur. I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. I hope you liked today's video. If you did, come over to my website, which is jeffaltman.com. I've got other videos there, and while you're there, sign up for a complimentary subscription to my e-zine, which is called No BS Job Search Advice e-zine. I publish it on Tuesdays with advice for job hunters. And you can read some of the previous articles I've written for the e-zine on my website as well. You can also post your resume to more than 50 sites. You can use easy to work with career builder links. I have access to Indeed and Job Search Universe, both of which search thousands of sites at once for job leads. By the way, before I remind you about my books and guides to job hunting, I'll just say that if you like the video and you're on YouTube, why don't you click the button that says like that's underneath this? If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a connection request on LinkedIn. And with the exception of third-party recruiters, I always function connection requests to others. Folks need help with their job search. I'm happy to provide introductions to others. This is Jeff Altman. Hope you have a great day. Take care.